Hey guys, it's Brady at East Rosebud. Today we're going to tie one of my favorite streamer patterns to not only tie but fish. It's Charlie Craven's Dirty Hippy. Super fun tie. It kind of got me into tying with Arctic Foxtail, which I never had done prior. Now I do it a ton. Super cool materials in it and pretty unique. Alright, we're going to start this. This is on a standard streamer hook, 2x long, with just a brass cone. And we will start by taking some round lead wire. So we're going to start our thread. We'll start it kind of behind the lead here to begin. And now I'm going to hold this lead in place as I kind of wrap through it here. And jam it a little bit, wrap back over it. I don't think there's such thing as too many thread wraps on lead. Just make sure it's good and secure, it doesn't slide around. Okay, so we're going to take this cone now and push it back into our lead and jump over to the front of it. Kind of jam this up a little bit as well. You can jump back, get some secure wraps behind it. Make sure it's secure. Could use a few more wraps there. Okay, now we're ready to start this fly. So to begin this fly, we're going to tie in a pretty good clump of flash. Whatever flash you like. I've tied them with Marabou, really everything we got, Kreelex. This is a Kreelex here. And it's a pretty good clump, you know, the quarter of a pencil or so in diameter. Couple loose wraps, make sure it's kind of on top of this hook, and we'll wrap back to the cone. Cut out our extra junk there, and I'm going to leave this long. I'll trim it at the very end just so I have a tendency of trimming it to begin with and then it's too short and you can't even see it, so just leave it long and out of your way. Next we got a blood quill piece of Marabou that we're going to palmer. So I'll take kind of just the tip part here, tie it in, work back to our cone, and work forward quite a ways, keep it out of your way. Trim that out. Palmering Marabou can be tricky. You want to just be careful, one, to not catch all this flash in these wraps, and two, not to trap a whole bunch of these pieces of Marabou feather. So just go slow. You can kind of preen out any trap stuff and pull it backwards. We'll get 2.5 good solid wraps in here. Go ahead and carefully tie that off. There we go. Looks like a big pile of feathers right now, but we'll make it look pretty. So what I tend to do, I come to the front and blow this backwards and catch it with my left hand. Like that. see we still got a couple feathers trapped in there. That's okay. We'll work back towards that cone. That looks pretty good. Our next material is going to be Arctic Foxtail in white, and we're going to tie this in on the belly of this fly. Take this and kind of pull out any underfur we've got, or as much of it as we can anyways. We're going to actually tie this along the bottom, and I like to have this pretty long to where it kind of goes past the bend of our hook here. So I'll go underneath, pinch it where I want it, loose wrap, make sure you like where it's at, and bite down, get a couple good tight wraps in there. We'll get in here, Marabou stuck to my scissors, get in here and cut out our extra tail. Okay, I'm just going to bite down the rest of that extra fox. Our next material is also fox, just in a different color. This is in tan. The color possibilities on the streamer are virtually endless. We're going to get a little bigger clump this time, maybe a third or quarter bigger than that white piece. Again, do your best to pull out any extra underfur. Okay, so this part's a little bit tricky. We're going to take this tan, set it on top. I'm going to take my left hand and kind of push with both my fingers all the way around this hook, so it kind of gets to every side of this fly. I'm going to take a loose wrap. You can see how it turns it a little bit, and with this loose wrap, as long as I hold a little bit of tension on it, I can rotate my vise, and make sure it's hitting everywhere I want it to hit. If it's good, go ahead and lash it down. Now get in there and cut out all this fox. This much material, especially wiry natural material, it pays to just go slow. Make sure we don't have any big stragglers that are going to be in our way. And go ahead and just cover up, like we did with the white, all that extra stuff here. Our head material is going to be ice dub. In Callibaetis color. You can, again, like I said, you can use a number of different colors to tie this thing. You're going to have a pretty good clump here. Just preen out any of the junky stuff. Doesn't want to cooperate. We'll tie this in right on top. Couple good wraps. We're going to do the exact same thing on the bottom. Ice dub can be a tricky material to build a head with, but if you take your time to actually pick out the fibers that aren't willing to cooperate, it's pretty doable. Do the same thing on the bottom. A couple good wraps, make sure we're nice and secure. And then we're going to preen back all this stuff here. Again, a little tricky, take your time. And we're going to just get some real good tight wraps behind this eye. See where that leaves our head. Okay, that looks pretty good. Little trick I like to use when the eye is nearly jammed up like this and I'm ready to whip finish, just take your hook and tilt it up in your vise. That way it's not falling off, your thread's not falling off while you're trying to whip finish this thing. Just one good whip finish will do it, and then you can go back in with some glue. Get that out of there. So, it looks like a big giant mess. Again, which is okay. So what I like to do, Charlie doesn't do this, it might be the wrong way, but it's the way I do it. I take this ice dub and I pull it kind of straight up like that. From there I'm just kind of taking my scissors and shaping it however I want it to look, which I kind of like a rounded off taper on both sides. Spin it, get my hook back to where it should be, and do the same thing on the bottom. Come in and cut my tail. Like this tail to be pretty darn long. Make sure it's visible with all that Marabou and Fox. Now, all we have to do is add some eyes to this thing. Typically I like to use a Loctite super glue, like a gel. I'm out of it at the moment, so we're using Zap-A-Gap gel, which works just as good. You just got to be ultra careful with getting your fingers in it and whatnot. I've glued so many of these holographic eyes to my fingers, it's a mess. So just be careful. That's good. Turn to the other side, do the same deal. Clean up any fibers you don't like. That is it. That is Craven's Dirty Hippy, one of my all-time favorite streamers to tie and fish. Super fun way to learn to use Foxtail as well. Get out there, fish it, tie it. Thanks for joining us.